Welcome to Franchise Spotlight, where we showcase unique franchise opportunities that give you the chance to build wealth, create a legacy, and take greater control of your future. Today, we're exploring Oliver's Nannies. Now, this is a franchise that brings professional, concierge style in home childcare to families who are navigating what's really one of the most persistent gaps in the American service economy. Let's put the spotlight on Oliver's Nannies. My guest today is Emily Ringley. Emily is the franchise development manager at Oliver's Nannies. She has 13 years of franchise development experience in a wide range of industries, wellness, fitness, and others. Emily, I'm really glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Scott. I'm honored to be here to talk about Oliver's Nannies.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation, I think. So let's jump in. We know childcare, it's often a patchwork, right, of center care, relatives, neighbors, backup arrangements, and a lot of times these options they break down, right, availability or logistics or the schedule, and then people start looking for more reliable in-home solutions. Emily, could you walk us through what Oliver's Nannies actually does? What's the service that you offer, and who's the family that turns to you when all those other options have let them down?
Yes, great question, Scott. I'll start by saying a little bit of a story that happened to me just on Monday with childcare. I've got two young kids, a 1 and a 3-year-old. We have an awesome full-time nanny, and she pulled her back out and she was not able to come into work on Monday. And she did the right thing and told us at like 6:45 in the morning. And we don't have an Oliver's Nannies where I live. And I wish that we did at the time because I had to go through my roster of nannies and neighbors and people that could potentially help. And um, thankfully, we were able to find some help, but it took a little bit of time, and it would have been great just to be able to reach out to my Oliver's Nannies, and Oliver's Nannies would have figured it out for me. But
Mhm.
Oliver's Nannies is a full service nanny, babysitting, childcare service. We provide white glove service to our families and really work for families that um, maybe need help managing someone in their home or just need a date night sitter. On top of that, we are a place for nannies to work to get a professional level of workplace for them. Nannies have existed everywhere, in Facebook pages and community groups,
Sure.
but there's a professional place for them now to work.
That's terrific. No, thank you for that summary. Now, in doing my homework for our conversation, Emily, I saw that recent, I'm sure you're aware of it, in April, there was this Axios report talked about that half of American families with young children are in that childcare desert, right?
Mhm.
For anybody who's not familiar, that they define that as either there's no childcare providers or more than 3 children are demanding those licensed slots, right? So hard to get care. So it seems like we really have a structural access problem to childcare, not just some temporary blip or some regional blip in the country. So
Mhm.
how does Oliver's Nannies fill that gap?
Yeah.
And how do you do so reliably? Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you also saw this, but in 2026, there's going to be a baby boom. So there's going to be even more childcare that's
I
needed.
didn't.
So
Okay.
I know, I think it's interesting. But how do we fill that gap? I mean, there's a handful of different services that our franchisees offer, and it's full time childcare that is your traditional 40-hour a week nanny service. It could be anywhere from 20 hours a week, to full time. We also offer flex care benefits for customers. So that is a monthly membership, or for us, it's a 6-month membership fee that families pay. And
Mhm.
that way they can get care on an ad hoc basis, or maybe,
Okay.
once or twice a week for a couple hours here, a couple hours here, or in emergencies. We also offer night nanny services as well. So for newborns, that's some care. But we're seeing, families have childcare needs like they change every couple months, every quarter, every season, from summers to winter breaks to spring breaks, and you're in daycare, then you're not in daycare, and so we can fill the gaps in all those ways. So we're there to provide assistance of relief to families, and knowing that the the issue is solved. Childcare no longer has to be getting on your phone and going through 10 different people that can help you that day.
Mhm.
It's solved for you, and the pressure is taken off the family to train that new nanny coming into the door or train that babysitter because each family that's a part of Oliver's Nannies has a care plan that Oliver's Nannies office will create for each family, and it's everything from the details of the day, the schedule, to oh, little Johnny only likes his fire truck socks and he will only eat grilled cheese sandwiches. Those
Okay.
little
Yeah.
details that make
Yeah.
the day just a little bit easier. So
No,
all the nannies are trained on that.
yeah, no, that's great. I love the idea of the care plan that you manage as an Oliver's Nannies franchisee, as opposed to putting that burden back onto the family. Every time a new nanny walks in the door, they got to remember to go through the checklist, right? So that's really a nice structural perk, I think. Nice.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, a child care business, this certainly seems to be something that would have to be built on, relationship skills, people management skills. Got to be able to match, families, manage caregivers, build community trust. So it seems like there's some important skills to be a successful owner of an Oliver's Nannies business. What type of person tends to thrive in Oliver's Nannies versus maybe give us some indicators of who might not be the right fit for Oliver's
Yeah.
Nannies? Yeah.
I think a great fit and a great franchisee for Oliver's Nannies is a people person. They're a problem solver. They're trying to fit those puzzle pieces together. They want to continue to build their business and they want to be able to continue to overcome hurdles and be a part of their business. I think a lot of our franchisees would say that they enjoy being a part of the main street economy and really knowing who their clients are. They know that they're really helping a family in in a crazy time of life. I think um, a franchisee that probably isn't great in our system is someone that's looking to set it and forget it. And I think there's great concepts out there that do that, but we really work well with franchisees that are engaged and want to just continue to get better. And many of our franchisees are very community facing, and that could again look different for everyone, but they are the face of the business to the community.
Okay, good. So you want somebody who's actively involved in the business, the leader, like you said, the face of the business, um, people who are seeking passive income opportunities where they just invest in a business and walk away. This is not for that type of person. And frankly, you say there might be some great concepts out there. I think you're being kind. I don't think there are many
Uh,
concepts that can set it and forget it, right? The business, it takes work. And so
yeah,
it's
and
good. Yeah.
we use the term part-time and full-time owner,
Mhm.
and that's going to look different for the maturity of the business and when the franchisee decides to step in fully. We have franchisees that start part-time because the role and the scope of the role that they're filling only needs to be at a part-time basis. And then when the business gets off the ground, they can step away fully and they're full-time. And then they build it and then they can step back and be part-time again. All of our franchisees are required to have a designated manager, and that manager is fully trained by headquarters, either with or shortly after the franchisee. So there's two people that are fully trained in the business. And I think that's why franchisees are able to kind of pick and choose when they're part-time, when they're full-time, and we really work with the franchisee to understand and give a suggestion as to what their involvement levels should be based off of their goals.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, if I could find a great set it and forget it business, I would have done that years ago.
Yeah, I think many people would have, but I
Yeah.
appreciate the flexibility though for owners. There are many franchises out there that really are only looking for the owner operator who's going to dedicate full time to a business. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. You described if you do want to be a part-time owner at the beginning, like maybe you need a W-2 job as you ramp your business. You're not ready to just cut all ties with your job.
Yeah.
What do their activities look like week to week while they have their manager working full time? Like how does that part-time owner's lifestyle look? I think we can envision what a full-time owner operator would look like in the
Right.
business. But yeah, talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit about that part-time owner getting started.
So they'd be managing the full-time employee, and that employee is probably recruiting nannies. They're HR. They're making sure those nannies are trained and ready to go. The franchisee is family facing, so they are trying to find families to use Oliver's Nannies. So that could be some marketing, that could be doing client calls, inquiry calls, setting up the care plans, doing family home visits, onboarding new families. So that's mostly what it looks like, and also understanding the KPIs of the business and um, just the strategy of it. So that could look at, you know, 20-ish hours a week, give or
Mhm.
take, depending on the week. And many of our franchisees can work a W-2 job as they ramp up their business, and then step away when they're ready.
Okay, so they need some flexibility. Again, when they're ramping up, they're not just delegating all tasks to a manager. They still need to be prepared to invest in the business, but like you said, part-time. So that's a good
Yes,
structure.
they're investing in bringing in the business and
Mhm.
bringing in the families, and the manager is invested in recruiting those nannies to fill this family's
Okay.
needs.
Okay, great, great. Now, let's talk a little bit about Oliver's Nanny's growth and the market for the service. So, your brand has been expanding across multiple states, right? You've got a lot of markets in development, a lot of states that already have Oliver's Nannies. When a aspiring entrepreneur is evaluating their local area, what are some signals that would tell them that their market is a good fit for Oliver's Nannies? How do you help them assess that before they commit to signing a franchise agreement that they actually have a winning territory, if you will?
Yeah. Are there children? Are there playgrounds? If they go to a playground, are there nannies there? Are there children there? Um, I, I think most markets are prime for an Oliver's Nannies because childcare these days, I should not even say childcare, but a nanny is not a luxury like it used to be. It is a necessity no matter the family, like, they need childcare if they're a dual income family. We look at demographics, we look at number of households with children between the ages of 0 and 10, and we look for a wide array of different incomes to support, families and nannies living in the area. But, we I think are really protective of our brand and protective of the franchisees that are going to be investing in it. So we really dig into the demographics to make sure that it's going to be the right fit for the long term. And we turn around. And I'd say we're pretty cautious. So we will deny a lot of territories if we feel like it's on the line or will not meet. But most markets are severely in need of childcare.
Mhm.
So as long
Sure.
as the incomes are there, it's most likely going to be a solid market.
Let's talk a little bit about I don't know if this is the biggest elephant in the room, but whenever you hear of a business where the labor supply is short and so there's great demand for it, the first thing a potential franchisee might think is, how on earth am I going to find people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
again, some of the research, it looks like there has been a decline in child care worker employment as, when some of the federal relief funding kind of went away, so there's fewer childcare providers at a time when everybody needs them more. But caregiver
Mhm.
retention, that would be a real operational, pressure across the industry. How are you approaching this challenge? How are you helping franchisees to be at peace with the fact that they're offering an in-demand service, but there is a scarcity of people to help with it?
I know. That's a great question. And, some franchisees have, I don't want to use the word struggle, but they're all constantly trying to find nannies, and some franchisees are great with it. They've got great retention. And our biggest piece of advice to franchisees is always be recruiting. Nannies are always there. They've always existed. And there's nannies that work in the field for a long time. It's their career. And a lot of nannies are in their 20s. They're filling in the gaps in between school or whatever. And our brand is all about people and understanding who you are, what your skills are, why do you want to be a part of Oliver's Nannies? And for our nannies, it's understanding that. A lot of them are coming out of daycares. They're tired of working in daycares. They want to work with one family. They want to have more of a connection, and they want better benefits. And Oliver's Nannies does offer W-2 hourly pay for nannies, and they get paid time off, which
Hmm.
is huge. And they also like that they're seen more as a professional, and they have a cohort of nannies working and supporting them, and that they're also not at the whim of a family's needs. So let's say they're working for a family long term, but the kids are going to daycare next year. They don't have to go and look for another family to work for. Oliver's Nannies can fill that void for them. So there's a lot of benefit there. all of the nannies are very trained as well. They go through safety training, orientation. They get trained on the family that they're working for. If they want to pick up extra hours, they talk to Oliver's nannies. They talk to the manager there, and those needs can easily be met. So I think our franchisees that follow the nanny recruiting process are not having as much of a struggle with it. They're going to the right places. They have a great referral network. Most nannies are referring other nannies. They refer their friends. And there's a lot of great ideas out there to bring in the nannies that you're looking for.
Mm. No, those are some great observations, and thinking about all the things you've put into place to retain the nannies that you attract. I think those were all some great points that you made. So thanks for explaining that. Some good
Yeah.
detail.
They like to
Um,
feel supported, like they're treated as professionals. And I think that goes a long way is that they are necessary to the business. And so they're treated that way.
Yeah, there are a lot of great reasons why a nanny would prefer to be a part of the Oliver Nannies Network rather than trying to find independent work, struggling with all finding the families, handling all their own, the financial side of things, doing all the paperwork. Here, like you said, you have a professional environment, you have a supportive community with the other nannies, and an organization that's really got their back and helping them with professional development. So many good reasons there. I like it. For an entrepreneur who's evaluating Oliver's Nannies as a potential business investment, what does that investment picture look like at a high level? What does somebody have to be prepared to invest?
Sure. We look for candidates that meet a requirement of $100,000 of liquid capital with about a $200,000 net worth.
Okay.
Now, to start the business, it's about anywhere between $75,000, maybe up to 175. It truly depends on your state and your involvement in the business. So if a franchisee is involved in the business, they're filling one of those two roles, then
Mhm.
their investment will be on the lower side. Now, if they are hiring a manager and they're hiring that second person to be the franchisee, then you're going to have double the cost there.
Mhm.
Um, so you're looking at, around that 100,000 mark.
Okay. Yeah. So there's the two roles you're talking about is the one recruiting families and then the one who's recruiting and managing nannies. If they're playing one of those roles, there's on the lower side. If they're hiring out both of those roles, then it's on the higher side. Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly, Scott. Yep.
A key part of any franchise system is the support and the systems that you get as part of the franchise, right? So you don't have to build this stuff on your own. So I do know that you have some proprietary technology that you've used and built to help support franchisees. But maybe you could just walk us through, some of the technologies, the processes, and the systems. What type of support would a franchisee expect? Let's think about the first year, maybe from the time they sign to their first year in business. What are the things that make the franchise a good investment for them?
Great question. So, as soon as you sign a franchise agreement, you're working with someone on our team through onboarding. So, that looks like at least twice a week touch points from the phone, going through a checklist. So, step by step, every step triggers the next one. And you should be able to open your business in about 3 to 4 months if you're following that checklist and if that's what your goal is. There is training that happens at our home office. This is an in person training that the franchisee and the manager can come as well, or they're required to come either with the franchisee or shortly after. It's a full 5 days. It's classroom style training. It's amazing. You do role playing, you do case studies. I went through it myself. It is the best training I've ever attended with any franchisor. And so you really walk out of there knowing what to put into place and confident to run your business. Your first week open, someone from our team is going to be there your first week to provide hands-on support. So, something I didn't mention earlier is that all of our franchisees are required to have a small office space.
Okay.
It's typically at a Regis or some sort of small office space that's required. But someone from our home office will be there to support. So, helping you set it up, helping recruit nannies, take your inquiry calls with families. You do a marketing field day And we have our, knock on wood, 15th location that should be opening this week. And so one of our team members is down there right now, getting that office set up, which is really exciting.
Great.
But after you're open, we have, gosh, so much support. So right when you're open, you're having weekly calls with your same coach. That could go to every other week, just depending on the maturity of the business and everything that's going on. So that's formal, and that's more going through your KPIs, going through your business. Um, the kind of the intimate details of your business, and is the business reaching the goals that you set? Now, informally, we have two touch points throughout the week where franchisees and their managers can hop on for kind of like office hours. So, jumping on, hey, let's hear about this case that you have with a family. You're trying to figure out how to appropriately price them. Or, hey, this nanny has this certain skill. Would they be best fit with this family or this family? So, any type of question you have, you can come to that. And it's a pretty informal setting, jump in, jump out. And we also have a mentorship program that's happening, and essentially every franchisee will be a part of a mentorship program throughout a calendar year. So it's
Mm.
for a quarter. And we have seen significant growth from our franchisees. Profits from being a part of this mentorship program. We just kicked it off this year, so we're in our second cohort, and it's amazing. I think we're at a very exciting age of our business where we're still emerging, but we've got a good amount under our belt where we know what's required to get your business up and running. And shifting gears from support, because you've also mentioned technology, we have a proprietary piece of our business that, of course, you are trained on, but a proprietary piece of our business called Olico, and it is a proprietary matching service. And this is something that it does not exist in the childcare space as we know it. It is matching families and childcare providers based off of their care style. So, we have found that there's three different types of care styles that you lean into more genuinely. And so it helps, first of all, nannies know that they can be genuine in their childcare. They can lean in a way that feels natural to them, and the families are getting that as well. There's a nurturer, an engager, and a leader, and it's fun to see which one you are. We've unveiled a new piece of technology for our franchisees that is a business management system, point of sale
Okay.
system, all wrapped up in one. So it's a way for clients, families, nannies, the Oliver's Nannies office to all communicate in one. So franch families can request shifts on this app. Nannies can pick up shifts on the app. Nannies can clock in and out. They can read the family's care plan. Offices can send out communication to their families, send out communication to their nannies. They can also populate their KPIs from it. So it's a huge stepping stone in our business's growth. The franchisees are really happy for.
Mm. No,
It's good.
it's great to see you embracing technologies that really make a difference in how the care is delivered and managed. When
Mhm.
you think of childcare, it's not you think about it as being a high tech, right, industry,
Yeah.
but certainly for convenience, for communication, these types of tools can really make all the difference. And when I was interrupting you rudely there a few minutes ago,
No, 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 no.
it was I just wanted to comment on this idea of matching the type and style of care that a nanny gives with the type of care and style that a family is looking for. And
Mhm.
that really goes a long way in delivering the experience that really makes families feel the personalized attention, right? So I think that's fantastic too.
Exactly, and it ensures that the nanny's gonna be happy with the family,
Right,
and
right.
that the family's gonna be happy with the nanny, and the children are cared for, the way that the parents are hoping for. Although a lot of times the child and the family or the parents have different ways, different styles that they'd
That's
probably
true too.
want, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point, but, I mean, technology is not gonna solve all interpersonal, communication, we all still have to mesh as people, so it's good.
yeah. And something I forgot to mention earlier when you asked about which types of franchisees typically work well in our system, and
Mhm.
bringing up technology, I think makes a good point because we have a lot of franchisees and a lot of candidates for Oliver's Nannies right now that are coming to us because they are looking for something that is AI resistant, and of course, using it to make the business run smoother and more efficient. But AI is never going to take over childcare. There's not going to be robots taking care of your kids, and I think that's really exciting for people that maybe being pushed out of their corporate roles due to AI. And so I think that if someone is interested in a business that is AI resistant, this would be a great one to look into.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point, well made. People, no matter what the Jetsons tell us, we're not giving our kids to robots to raise or to care for, right? To
Not
oversee.
yet.
So, not yet. No.
None of I have any say in it.
That's right. That's right. I think that's going to be the long term play for humanity as well. So that's good.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, clearly, childcare, vital, critical function, very important to families, customers, important to communities. But let's set the mission aside just for a moment. Let's make the business case for this. So, the economic characteristics of this model. What makes this, in your opinion, a good business for a business person to consider? I mean, I know that community is very important to many and the mission of caring for children is very important. But let's just talk about the business for a minute. Why do you think it's a good business to be in?
'Cause it's necessary. It's you're always gonna need childcare. Like, there's always gonna be families that need childcare. I think that's why it's a good business. If you can market it appropriately, the business is gonna be good. Obviously, there's a big mission-driven aspect of it. So, I think if someone wants to have a great business, but they also wanna feel good about what they're doing, it's gonna be a great fit. But it's just never gonna go away. Childcare has existed for all of humanity.
Very true. You'd mentioned earlier that the overnight care, I can't remember what
Mhm.
the term you used, but infant care in general, that was one thing I did see, the infant care for children under 12 months, that apparently that's the fastest growing segment of the childcare market, like at least for the foreseeable future. What are you seeing in this space, Emily? Are you seeing
Yeah.
that too?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for there to be an industry disruptor with childcare, and that's what we are with Olico, with our proprietary matching service, and the way that we handle childcare and make it easy for families. But with this big influx of infants coming in and parents having to re-enter the workforce with our service of the night nanny, it's really very much of a necessity. And families these days, they will forego a date night, or they will forego their coffee so they can have a good night's sleep, because health and wellness is a big piece of parents right now. They want to take care of themselves. So we're seeing a lot of families utilize our night nanny service as they re-enter the workforce so they can feel refreshed as they get back to work. But I think childcare has always been an obstacle and a challenge for families. And with the big boom coming in of newborns, it's exciting to be a part of a business eh, that can make it easier and just make an obstacle not an obstacle for
Yeah.
families.
Yeah, remove it. Yeah, remove it. I love it.
Mhm.
So, Emily, let's kind of distill this down for someone who's watching that's genuinely curious about this type of business. If there's one thing that someone could walk away with and remember from our conversation that we just had, what would you like that to be, Emily?
But there's value in every piece of the business. There is a huge need out there, and I think it's a great opportunity for a franchisee that wants to jump into something that's not in their community. There's value for the family because they're offering a service that they haven't received before. There's a huge value for the nannies and giving them a great workforce. And there's an opportunity for the franchisee to have the work-life balance that we can offer, and to grow a business and have a solid business that they can have for themselves and pass on.
Fantastic. Emily, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I think this has been a valuable conversation. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Scott. Hope to see you soon.
So there is Oliver's Nannies. It's a people first business. It's built into one of the most underserved markets in the country where nearly half of American families with young children cannot reliably access care. Emily made the point clearly. This is not a luxury, it's a solution. Full time care, flex care, night nanny services, a proprietary matching system, a care plan that takes the pressure completely off the family. The model is designed for an engaged owner who wants to be the face of something meaningful in their community. If Oliver's Nannies feels worth exploring, here's what I would encourage you to do before you reach out to anyone. Talk to me first. I will help you test whether this actually fits your goals, your financial position, and where you are right now. I will also prepare you for how franchisors evaluate candidates because strong brands are selective. And the way you show up in that first conversation matters more than many people realize. There are common mistakes that sink otherwise qualified candidates early in the discovery process, and you do not want to make those mistakes. If you are well positioned, I'll introduce you personally. Book a no cost 20-minute call and take the next step the right way. I'm Scott Elliott, and this has been another episode of Franchise Spotlight.